Alright guys, it's Prof and welcome to C++ Digest video tutorials. In this tutorials I'm going to be talking about variables. Alright, now when I was doing the video tutorials on computer review, I told you that there is a part of your computer called memory, and this by memory I mean the random access memory. I told you that anytime the computer, any program is being loaded, is being used, that program loads into that memory. Is that okay? Before any program at all can play, the program should load into the memory, and then it can continue. So let me show you my task manager. I want to use it to explain something to you. If we come to show more details, you can see here the dev C++ that I'm using is taking 26 megabytes. Is that okay? Of memory space. Is that okay? Now, what does this mean? You will find out very soon. When we talk of variables, then we are trying to speak about storage space. Is that okay? Talk about variables, we're trying to talk about storage space. Now, whenever we are writing a program, we can store data in the computer's memory for use in our program. This can be achieved in two steps. So first, we instruct the computer to allocate memory. Then second, we store the data in the allocated memory. Now, let's go back to classroom. When you are doing maths and you come across something like y equals to mx plus c, what we usually say is that c is a constant and m2 is a constant, so y varies, x varies. So a typical example is y equals to 3x plus 1. Is that okay? This is the equation of a straight line. What this means is that the value 1 and 3 can't be changed anymore. Is that okay? But the value y and 3 can be changed. For instance, if I say that x equals to 0, then it means that y will be equal to 1. If I say x equals 3, it means that y will be equals to what? 7. If I say x equals to 1 over 3, then y will give us what? 2. Is that okay? You see that depending on any value of x and y, we are going to have what? Different things. So in other sense, they vary, they are unknowns. Is that okay? Now when we come to C++, when we talk about variables, then we are trying to allocate some space in memory. Is that okay? So let's look at this in a few minutes. There is something called a named constant. Named constant. Is that okay? Now, a named constant is simply a memory location whose content cannot be changed during the program's execution. Now, to declare a named constant, this the syntax. Is that okay? The syntax you have to follow. We have the modifier const, followed by the data type, followed by the identifier, then equal to, then the value you want to save them. Now, because we are saying that this is a constant memory location, that a named constant, a memory location whose value cannot be changed, we want to, once we instruct the operating system to give us part of the memory for our storage, we save the value to it straightforward. We don't instruct it before we do everything at once. Is that okay? So for example, if I say const, let's say int my age equals to, let's say 12. Is that right? The const int here is a data type, as we talked about in the previous tutorial. Then my age is the identifier. We have our assignment operator. Then 12 is the value. Is that okay? Now, what do I mean by the content of the memory cannot be changed during program execution? Alright, let's just put a simple C++ statement here to print out my age. So remember, if I do my age, if I put it into double quote like this means that my age should be printed in words like MYAGE. Is that okay? There is a difference between this and that. So I say my age and cool. Now let me put an equal to sign here. Now let's run this. Alright, so you can see my age equals to what? 12. Remember, this is in quotation marks, so that means that it is a string, so it's going to print exactly as it is. But this right now stands in for the value 12. Is that okay? This right now stands in for the value 12. That means that there, in this particular memory location, this value is there. Is that okay? Now if we want to know the real thing, I can put an ampersand here and let's check it out. You see 0x23fd7c, that is actually the memory address that you would have been working with. Is that okay? That is actually the location in the physical memory that we are talking about. But then we use this name to wrap it. Is that okay? So that instead of calling that 0 times 2 whatever, we will rather say my age, because this will be convenient for us. So whenever we call my age, the operating system sees that 0 times 2737 CD. Is that okay? So whilst we are using the operating system or your program will be using that. Good. Now let us try and say my age equals to 8. Is that okay? Now what this means is that we are trying to change my age. Now let's run and see. Oops. Yeah, so we have a very big error on line 10. And what does the error say? Say assignment of read-only variable my age. Is that okay? Whenever you add this const modifier, you make it unchangeable. That particular thing, variable, becomes what? A named constant. That means that you can't change its value in the course of the program. Is that okay? You can't change its value in the course of the program. Alright, now let's look at, apart from named constant, we also have the variable itself. So that is exactly the opposite of a named constant. So a variable is a memory location whose content can be changed during runtime. Now the only difference between the declaration of a variable and a named constant is that for a variable, the const modifier is not included. Is that okay? The const modifier. So for example, we can say that int, or let's say gender, and character, it takes on simple like character as in letter A, letter 7, full stop. All these things are characters. Is that okay? Any key on your keyboard, when you press it, whatever comes out is referred to as well a character. Now we said that to get a location to store something in memory, you first have to what? Instruct. Is that okay? Then secondly, you store your data. Now for example, what we've done here, we have instructed the computer to give us a memory location. Is that okay? And whenever you do this, we term this as declaration. Is that okay? So we say that you declare a variable. Declaring a variable means specify its data type, the identifier, then you end your statement. So here the data type is what? Our character. Then our identifier is gender. Is that okay? So whenever you do this, you have declared a variable. And this is the syntax: data type, identifier. Then you end it. Then after we've declared our variable, then we can store something in our memory. So we come here and say that gender equals to, remember, it's a character, and character data types are wrapped in single quote. So for example, female, so I use what? F. Now if I do this, we call it initialization. Initialization simply means the first time you are assigning a value to a declared variable. Then instead of doing your declaration on a separate line and initialization to on a separate line, you can declare and initialize at the same time. Is that okay? And all you do is to fuse the declaration with the initialization. So instead of, let's say, gender, then gender equals to F, we can just say gender. Is that okay? Gender equals to F. Is that okay? So that is how to declare and initialize. And the syntax rule is data type, identifier, assignment operator, then value. Is that okay? That is how to do declaration and initialization at the same time. This is exactly equal to this, just that this has been done on 2 lines, this has been done on a single line. Is that okay? Here we declared before initializing, but here we declared and initialized at the same time. Is that okay? Good. Now let's declare one more variable. Now remember, in C++ you cannot have 2 variables with the same name. For example, if I try to run this right now, I should get a problem. You got it? GC++ has stopped working. I thought it was just going to be ordinary error. And what do we have here? Redeclaration of the car gender. Is that okay? Car gender previously declared here at line 7. Line 17. Is that okay? So the compiler will under no circumstance allow the same word name or identifier to be given to 2 separate variables. Now why is it so? Remember we said that whenever you declare a variable, it's like this: you have instructed the computer to give you a memory location or to allocate memory for you. Then you call that particular memory location that name. So for example, in this case, the memory location that we have been assigned, we are calling it what? Gender. Is that okay? So whenever we talk of gender, the computer goes right there to that particular memory location. So right now, assuming the compiler allows this, assuming the compiler allows 2 variables with the same name, if we use gender over here, if we say gender over here, which of the gender, okay, probably let me differentiate it by putting M here. Which of the gender are we talking about? Is that okay? So that is going to give the operating system hell of time, so you won't be allowed. Remember, the syntax rule shows you what accepted and legal. You won't be allowed to use to declare two variables with the same what name. At least you can say gender 1. Is that okay? Can differentiate them by that, and that will be very cool. Oh, what is happening? Okay, so gender 1, I have what? Female. Is that okay? So what do we do with this memory that has been allocated to us? Remember, we can do, once we have our data in there, we can do anything to it. Is that okay? Once we have our data, we can do anything to it. For example, we can say let's declare one more variable. Let's call it int year of birth. Is that okay? And let's initialize it straight ahead. Most often you see that I'll be using the declare and initialize. That is what I love using. So year of birth 1931. That's when I was born, in case you want to know how old I am. Alright, then once we have year of birth, we can find a person's age. Is that okay? So we can just come in and say see out, put some strange you are. Is that okay? You then if we want somebody's age when we know it's year of birth, it's just a matter of subtracting the year of birth from the current what year. So 1931. Is that okay? So this expression is going to be evaluated, and we will add years old to it. Then we do our end line stuff. Is that okay? Good. So you are 82 years old. Is that okay? But remember, what did we put here? We put 2013 minus 1931. Is that okay? Alright, now instead of 1931, let us put year of birth and see whether we'll get the same result. Alright, so there we go, and we have the same thing. You are 82 years old. Is that okay? So once we have our variables stored in the memory, we can use it in calculations, we can increase it, we can manipulate it any way that we want. So you see that here, instead of using 1931, we are using what? Year of birth, and we are getting the same what result, because whenever we say year of birth, the computer knows that it should go into that particular memory that corresponds to this year of birth, and whatever is in that content, it should use it. Now let me cite this analogy. Why do we want to initialize, or why is it important to initialize a variable? Okay, when you got admission into your school, you were told that you have been given a room at, let's say, Katanga. Fellows, all right. Now when you go into the room, remember somebody was there before you. Is that okay? So definitely there is something that that person may leave behind, or there is some arrangement that person may do to suit him that you will not like it. Is that okay? So what you do is, assuming you went to the room and you saw a chair with a broken leg, you don't like it, but probably the person who was previously there had no option but to use that chair. Is that okay? So if you don't like it, then what do? You take it out and replace it with a new one, or the one that you like. Or better still, if you don't like it but you don't have any option to replace it, then you just take it out so that it will be out of the room. Is that okay? Now let me do something. I'm going to declare some variables here. A variable, let's call it float, and let's call it balance. Is that okay? Now we have just declared the variable. We have just asked the computer to assign a space to us. Is that okay? Now let's go ahead and print what is in that space. So it's like we've been given a room, so we are going into that room to check whatever is in that room. So let's go to see out. So let's change it to car and run it again, and we have nothing. Is that okay? We have what? Nothing. Let's change this to, let's say, double. Oh, look at all this garbage in our room. Is that okay? Now one thing you have to note, when that hall was given to you, the room wasn't probably cleaned up. Is that okay? So you get a lot of baggages inside there. Look, when we instructed the operating system to give us a memory location, all that it did was move through this memory, your RAM, and picked for us a memory or a space that was not being used by any program. Is that okay? But here we are with something inside that memory. Now what that means is probably there was a previous program that used that particular memory we are using now, and this is the value that is stored over there. Is that okay? So there is a need to clean up those things when you declared or when you instruct the computer to allocate memory for you. Is that okay? So that is why there is a need. So assuming here, if I don't initialize and I just come here and say times my age, let's see the result. You see that? Is that okay? My age is 12 and we are multiplying it by balance. So because we haven't initialized balance, it picks whatever is in that memory location and multiplies it by what? My age. As a programmer, that is something you have to avoid. Is that okay? So whether or not you are going to use a particular memory, try and initialize it. And like I said, you can do the initialization straightforward, or you can do your declaration then your initialization. But whichever style you want to use, make sure you always initialize the variable. Initializing is like you are going to sweep the room and keep the things in order. If you have nothing there, probably sweep the room, clean the place, and leave the room empty. Is that okay? So setting 0 to balance means that we don't have any number to put there, but we want to keep it clean. So we want to set it to 0. That is something about memory. So always after declaring your variable, you can set it to an empty value. For example, if I say character gender and I don't have anything to put there, you can put the null character, and this is the null character. Is that okay? Forward a backslash and 0, that is null character. And for the numbers, 0 is the best for all of them. Then if it is a strange variable, let's say my name, then I don't have any name to put in there, then I can just use the empty strange. That a double quotation mark with nothing. Remember, if you put a space in here, a space is also a character. It ceases to be an empty strange. Is that okay? Good. Now when you use the equal to sign here, as we call in mathematics, we say that you are assigning a value to that memory. Is that okay? And this is no more called equal to, but it's called assignment operator. So what I am doing here is, hey, after creating or after locating the memory, call it my age, because that is how I will be calling it, and put this value inside it. Is that okay? After creating the memory or allocating the memory, call it year of birth. That is how I will be calling it, and put this value in there. Is that okay? So this means that you are assigning 1931 to this particular memory location or variable, and this is what we use, assignment operator. Now in case we don't want this, we can also use the input stream reader. Is that okay? That is cin. You can also use cin to achieve this same thing. Is that okay? You can also use cin. So let's do some print out. So let's print out year of birth. Is that okay? Let's print out year of birth and there. But what we are going to do right now is that we are not going to set any value to year of birth. We are going to read that value from command line or from our keyboard. Now this double less than sign here is called stream insertion operator. Is that okay? It is used to insert characters into the stream. When you talk of a stream as and let's say a group of characters that are being manipulated one way or the other. Is that okay? So we say that this is a stream insertion operator. Then this one is called stream extraction operator. Is that okay? Stream extraction. Now we use this with cout, and we use this with cin. Is that okay? This with cout. So consider this as a megaphone. I hope you know a megaphone. So you speak into it, then it comes out. Is that okay? Then this is something like a funnel. Is that okay? You put something to it, and it is stored into any container. Is that okay? Good. So this time around, because we are going to you're going to assign the value to year of birth from runtime, I think you need this statement. Let's give a prompt. Say, hey, enter your year of birth. Is that okay? Say, hey, enter your year of birth, and then we would not like to have this and L over here. Don't want our session to go to the new line. Then remember, the person is going to type in something. Is that okay? So that thing that the person will type, we have to extract it from the stream. We have to extract it from the keyboard. Is that okay? From the keyboard. The keyboard is referred to as the standard input stream. So what we do is you say cin, then the extraction operator, then the memory location that we want to save it to. So it's like extract whatever we type from our keyboard and keep it in this particular memory location. So we say year of birth. Is that okay? Then we'll perform our usual calculation, and we perform our usual calculation. So let's check it out. Good. Hey, enter your year of birth. Is that okay? This is called a prompt. And now, if you don't bring something like this, what the person will see is a blank screen. A blank screen with a blinking cursor. Is that okay? So, you would like to tell the person what to do. So enter year of birth. So my God, I am 1911. Is that okay? Press enter. Says you are 102 years old. Is that not amazing? Is that okay? So you see, we haven't assigned any value to year of birth, but we're able to use it to perform the calculation simply because we use this input stream operator, input stream reader statement to extract what was typed from the keyboard and saved it to year of birth. So from this particular line onwards, our year of birth will no more be empty, but it will contain what we typed at our keyboard. Is that okay? Now, assuming we have other variables, we can put them there as many as we want. Let's say variable, let's call it variable 2, variable 3. We can do that. Is that okay? You can put different variables and the stream will extract them individually and assign them respectively. Now whenever cin comes across an empty space, it stops. Is that okay? Whenever it comes across an empty space, it stops. So for example, let's do something. Let's say double money. Is that okay? Let's say car gender. Is that alright? Cool. Then let's do some cout here. So we would like to print money. Is that okay? The printing money, you print gender, then end L. Is that okay? So first we will extract and pass it to money, then the next one will be gender. So look at this here. Whatever we'll be reading first would be saved to what? Year of birth. Is that okay? Year of birth is what? An integer. Whatever we will be reading second will be saved to money, and money is what? Double. Whatever we read next would be gender, and gender is what? A character. Is that okay? Now let me just put some space in here to separate that. Now let's run this and check it out. Oops. Oh, expected initializer before CL. What line is that? Oh, okay. I didn't end it. What again? Expected. Okay, sorry. I hope we don't have any other else. Cool. So that is the compiler in action. It will make sure that now. So first I'm going to enter 1944. You see that something is still being requested. Is that okay? You see that the cursor is still there. Instead of displaying CL whatever, the cursor is still being what? Requested. Is that it? That is because you said you are going to read 3 things from the stream, and whenever you press enter, it's like you are done with 1. Is that okay? Then we need a second. So let me see, $2,000, and now we need the last one. So if I press M, is that okay? So we have you are 60 years old, then we have the 200 and the M that we typed. Is that okay? So the cin function will extract everything you type and do the saving accordingly. So if you put here 10 variables, then it will be expected of you to put in what? 10 inputs. Is that okay? So instead of doing that, you can also do it straightforward. So I can just say 1944, $200, and F. Is that okay? Now whenever cin comes across a space, it stops and it knows that that is the end of this, that is the end of this, that is the end of that. So here you press enter and nothing is being requested again, because it's able to read it 1, 2, 3, and that satisfies the amount of input it needs. Is that okay? Now one thing that you have to be very careful about is that whatever you input should match the data type you specified. Is that okay? Whatever you input should match the data type you specified. For example, let's run this, and then we know that the first one, year of birth, is supposed to be a number. So assuming we type in there, then 200, then F. Look at that. You are 2013 years old. Why? Because it wasn't successful in reading year of birth, because that is not the data type we need. We have specified a string when we need what? An integer. Is that okay? And look at the rest of the things that it's provided, meaning that after it comes across that error, every other thing the reading will stop. When it tried reading this, it encountered error, so the reading will stop. That is why it wasn't able to read 200f. So look at what it printed over here. So be careful and make sure your data type also correspond with the arrangement or with your input. Is that okay? All right, so that is the end of the variable section. Don't worry, we will be using this particular thing very much, and understanding will come by constant practicing. So thank you guys for watching this video tutorial, and don't forget to send your comments and your suggestions, what you want to be done. Remember, this tutorial is successful when you are able to understand the programming. So what I want you to do is if you are facing any problem, just call the number below, or just text your name to the number below, and I will add you to the WhatsApp group. Is that okay? There is also a Facebook page. Just search for C++ Digest, and you can share your comments over there. But then the WhatsApp group will be very active, and that would be a very fast way of interacting. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to watch my next video tutorial. See you.